What up, boys, and welcome back to another TBC Classic gold making video. So I featured a ton of gold farms in TBC Classic, and I also want to dive a bit into the professions and how people make gold with professions, because there's a lot of people already who have kind of reduced the amount of hours that they spend in TBC. They just like jump on after reset day and they clear the raids, and maybe they even work on some alts, but they still need a lot of gold to keep up with consumables, enchants, gems, epic flying for the routes, and so on. So I want to talk a bit about how you can make gold without actually spending any time farming. And first up, we're going to talk a bit about the tailoring and how you can make and what you should look after, which crafts you should do with tailoring to make a ton of gold with it. So before we dive into the specifics, I do want to mention that you guys can still obtain the complete gold guide for Classic TBC, and it has all of the best farms in the expansion, as well as a list underneath each professions on the crafts to look after. So if you want the book and you haven't bought it yet, you can get it for 50% off by using the code TBC for 50% off. So make sure to check it out. Link is down below in the description, but also at the pinned comments. So the first thing that we want to look at is obvious for some people, but there's a lot of people who don't realize that there's a lot of gold to be made due to cheap prices of, let's say, Netherweave cloth, right? And we're talking, this is really basic. I mean, you can even buy, as long as you buy Netherweave cloth for less than like 15 silver, you're going to make a profit just making bandages and vendoring those. So if you have like 11 silver Netherweave cloth on your auction house, make sure you look into that. But most good realms or populated realms has people controlling that, like they're buying out everything. They can't be arsed buying it for like this price that you guys can see right here. Like this is like 14 silver and 80 copper, because there's barely any profit to be made. So this is pretty common on a decent realm, a full pop realm, to see prices right underneath 15 silver. However, you can still make a ton of gold with this price on Netherweave cloth, because basically, in order to craft one of these Netherweave bags, you need to have 24 Netherweave cloth, right? So if we bring up this calculator, and we can see that the Netherweave cloth right now is at 14 silver and 80 copper, so 0.148, and that times 24 cloth, which is what you need in order to make one bag. Well, first you make it into the bolts and then the bags, but it rounds up to 24 cloth. You can see that we got to spend the 3 gold and 55 silver just on the cloth, but then you also got to pay 45 silver on the thread that you need. So if you add that, what did I just do right now? I meant, where was I? 0.148 times 24 cloth, 3 gold and 55 silver, plus 0.45. There we go. So it's going to cost me 4 gold, pretty much exactly 4 gold, if I were to buy the mats from the auction house and make the Netherweave bags. And the Netherweave bags right now are going for 5 gold and 89 silver. So I make almost 2 gold profit simply just buying up the Netherweave cloth from the auction house and making it into bags. So I know a lot of people that are making good amounts of gold on this. I myself have sold 288 Netherweave bags, average price of 5 gold and 54 silver, which is a total of 1,600 gold. I, however, haven't been buying up the Netherweave cloth and making it into bags, because I'm not in the position where I need gold, right? I just think it's fun to farm it. But if you need gold, definitely super solid way of making it is with the Netherweave bags. Now, a bit more complex than that is going to be crafts, and you want to focus on items that are currently best in slot or pre-raid best in slot, because there's a ton of people who haven't even started raiding yet, and there's a ton of people leveling alts that want to buy the pre-raid best so they can get into pug raids. So if we look at tailoring, we're going to start all the way at the top at cloaks. This add-on, by the way, is called Atlas Loot. You can check out what you can make with any profession loot from any dungeon and what so. So when it comes to cloak, all of the good cloaks are gonna be like you have the white remedy cape, this one right here, which is decent. Like the cloak is okay. It's selling for a good amount of gold. Really, really good cloak. The cloak pattern is 140 gold. It's worth buying this pattern because you don't need that many sold remedy capes in order to make a profit. But if we're talking or looking at the Vengeance wrap, that's where the good gold is with cloaks. However, it's one of those world drop patterns, so it's going to be tough. There's none up on my auction house, and when you get it, it's expensive. However, the cloak is also really expensive, and the profit is good on it. So make sure to check the price on the Vengeance wrap on your auction house, and it's definitely worth the investment to purchase the pattern for a Vengeance wrap, unless it's stupidly expensive. So when it comes to cloaks, this is what you should focus at, the Vengeance wrap. When it comes to chest, there's not that many good items to craft, because most of the good items are like the Mooncloth robe, the Shadowweave, and the Spellfire. However, they're all BOP, so you can't actually sell them. You'd be surprised, though, over how well the Soulcloth vest sells. People need it, well, mages need it to mage tank in Gruul. And if you guys have checked out my mailbox openings where I've taken out the gold, you've seen that I've sold a decent amount of Soulcloth items. So I would look into the Soulcloth vest. You do have the Arcanoweave robe as well, which is a cheaper version of it. The Soulcloth vest drops from trash in Karasan, though, so it's limited to the people actually doing Karasan, because the pattern itself is going to be BOP. So that's what I would look into if I were you, like the Soulcloth vest. When it comes to feet, it's there's no point in trying to make gold on Arcanoweave boots usually, and that is because every single guide, like tailoring, leveling guide out there, recommends you to get the pattern for the Arcanoweave boots, because it's a nice way to level up the last levels of tailoring. So usually people are selling these at a loss. So for boots, there's not that many interesting items. There really isn't. When it comes to gloves, it's the same. Soulcloth gloves, I've made a ton of gold on Soulcloth gloves, so I would look into if you are doing Karasan, because the pattern also drops in Karasan, then make sure to look into the Soulcloth gloves. They're decent, but they're not going to fly off the auction house, since only mages really are going to buy these. Headpieces, Spellstrike hood, good for a ton of different classes. It's BIS for so long. The Spellstrike hood and the legs, the set bonus is insane. The stats on the items are insane. Like, you'll make a lot of gold with the Spellstrike hood. And the pattern comes from Shattered Holes. It's easy to grind it. There's a lot of casters, though, wanting to grind out Shattered Holes to get reputation in order to buy the epic swords from Exalted. So many of those people might have tailoring, so they're going to definitely need on it. But if you get the pattern, it's a relatively easy pattern to obtain. Then you can make a lot of gold crafting the Spellstrike hood. And it's going to be valid throughout the entire expansion, the craft. The same thing with legs. With the item you should be looking out for with legs is going to be the Spellstrike pants. And the pattern from that one is from Shadow Lab. Last boss in the Shadow Lab. Then we got shoulders. Pretty much the same as a lot of the other slots. Like the Soulcloth shoulders is the item you want to focus on. When it comes to belt, you have this belt right here. The Belt of Ruination, really, really good. The downside with it, though, is that the pattern is like an open world drop. So it's expensive, 1,350 gold in my realm, but average price roughly 1,000 gold. Belt sells for a lot of gold. Sell rate is decent. There's a lot of profits to be made with the Girdle of Ruination. It really, really is. And that is the belt that I do recommend. You also have the Unyielding belts for people that want to do PvP. It's decent. The mats are not too expensive because it needs a Primal Earth rather than Primal Mooncloth, rather than any of the fancy like Primal Fire and so on. So there's definitely gold to be made with both of these belts right here. And those are the belts you should focus on getting if you want to buy some, like invest into some patterns. And then we have an interesting one. Like the people that I've talked to that's in my community, this is the item they've made that like by far the most gold on, and that is Bracers of Havoc. They are BIS for like the really good bracers, and they're bis for a lot of different classes. It's a blue item, but they're still really, really good. So on my realm, the pattern alone, which is a world drop, is selling for 600 gold. Now, the bracers, when they're crafted, is selling for, on my realm, 173 gold. But the profit margin is absolutely insane on these. And everyone that's looking up their like pre-raid bis are going to see these bracers, and they're like 173 gold. It really isn't that much gold for them. So they sell really, really fast. Besides from that, like we've now gone through all of the armor pieces that I would recommend you guys to craft with tailoring. Besides from that, we talked about the bag, and besides from that, it just depends. Like in order, you can choose to craft spellcloth, shadowcloth, or primal mooncloth. From a gold perspective, it's smarter to do like to specialize in spellcloth, because if you're specialized on a, like you can choose if you want to specialize on shadowcloth, mooncloth, or spellcloth, and when you're specialized in it, instead of crafting one, you will craft two of them. The reason why I say that spellcloth is the best one is like the price is usually higher on shadowcloth, but the demand is less, because spellcloth is needed for way more crafts needed by way more classes. So I would definitely specialize on spellcloth. I'm personally specialized on shadowcloth, but that is just because I play a frost mage and I want to craft the set for that needs shadowcloth. Right now the price is stupidly high at 110 gold. It's usually like roughly the same price as spellcloth, but spellcloth sells way more. You can look at the sell rate. It's higher on spellcloth than what it is on shadowcloth. And the primal mooncloth is really only needed by healers, so and the sell rate is the lowest of all of them. So I would specialize on spellcloth. Besides from that, it depends if you're Alder or a Scryer, if you want to craft the golden spell tread or the runic spell tread. I wouldn't base my decision on whatever you should play, Scryer or Alder, depending on which of the leg enchants you can craft with tailoring. But both of these are usually giving a decent profit on your realm. Like for instance, the runic spell tread on my realm, the enchant sells for like roughly 250 gold, while primal mana is only sitting at 18 gold. So it's like a 70 gold profit, but then again, you have to use a primal nether though. And the golden spell tread is going for 274 gold, and 10 of these is only going to be 135 gold. So there's a lot of profits to be made with those like leg enchants as well. But that was pretty much it. That's what my personal opinion on the best crafts with tailoring is. So hopefully this video was helpful for you guys. If it was, please let me know down below in the comment section, or simply just press a thumbs up on the video. Because in that case, I could do a bunch of these videos on each profession, on the most profitable crafts that you guys should do. But that's it for now. Thank you all so much for watching. Subscribe if you haven't. And make sure to check out the complete gold guide for classic TBC. And I will see you all in tomorrow's video. But until then, bye-bye.